really want y'all to see my trophies, but I can't really get it in the video. 10 p.m. right now. 10. I scanned the internet and resources that I was looking for to get over this person. It wasn't really relatable. Most of the individuals who made videos about getting over someone, they were either in a relationship or they passed the talking stage or they went on several dates. I'm here to tell you, I didn't do any of those with this person. Really weird thing, because you can't really describe it to people because they're like, what is wrong with you? You feel like you experienced heartbreak, but you didn't even date this person. How can you fall so hard for someone you never, and when I'm saying never, I mean never dated.
Instead of the changing, it's making me better. I'm turning a new thing, it's making me stronger, yeah.
This is my personal experience. I was debating making this video because I'm actually feeling good and I'm like, wow, I'm actually getting over this person. This feels great because, guys, when I'm telling you it hurt, it hurt.
Hopefully this video will help someone.
And who's gone through something very similar. You're trying to get over someone, but you never dated them, or you didn't even pass the talking stage. Maybe you didn't even have a talking stage with this person. You just caught feelings. This isn't an either or. A lot of people aren't gonna agree, and there's gonna be a lot of people that are probably like, I think you're saying like, I've gone through it, let's get started. Didn't even date them, just get over it. You know what I realized? I know that relationships aren't daisies and roses. The way being infatuated or lying to yourself that a specific person is the way you picture them to be in your mind. I prefer falling in love with the idea of someone than actually being in a relationship with them or actually having a relationship. It's this infatuation. I don't want to get in a relationship at this very moment, giving that person a chance, because I know that they're probably going to disappoint me, and then I'm like, yeah, this is why I do prefer being single. These are things that I did while I was trying to get over this person. It didn't happen overnight. Slowly helped me get over him. I didn't even date this person. We went out once. I don't want to go into detail because I don't know if he's gonna watch this, and I really hope he doesn't.
You ain't special.
I'm kidding. Okay, what I'm trying to say is, I feel like this is gonna help someone. This is the only reason I'm gonna say this has happened to me several times, not just with this person, but in college there was this guy that I was so infatuated with. It was bad. Like, oh my god, like, we're perfect for each other. He's into business, I'm into business. Made so much crap in my mind about this guy. Like, I would see him in class and I'd be like, man, we're meant to be. Anything that had to just do with him, because I had a friend who actually knew him, but it was like a hot mess. I found out some things about him that I was like, oh yeah, he's not it, girl. Anytime like someone would bring him up or like something random would happen where, you know, it seemed like it was destiny, I would just fall more infatuated. And that's what I'm saying. You have to be self-aware when it comes to these things. A lot of times, if you don't stop yourself, you really are going to think that someone that's not good for you is good for you, and then you justify their behavior. And that's why I say something that's helped me is having standards, because when you have standards, it does not matter if you think that destiny put that person in your path. So sad. I still love watching romantic movies, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it is definitely tainted the way a lot of people see love, because we think that it's just gonna happen romantically, and then once you feel like this is the one, you start allowing certain behaviors to slip, and that's where things get very unhealthy. You don't want to tolerate things that are going to hurt you in the long run. So important to set the example. Don't settle for bare minimum, because if you have your standards, if this person doesn't match it, you need to learn how to say no, because you're not just saying no for yourself, you're saying no because you want a better future for yourself and a better future for your future family. You're not going to be the one tolerating his BS. You're not going to be the one just being Bob the Builder for this guy who's broken and toxic. The people that are going to have to deal with your choices is not just going to be you. So it is important to be selfish when you're choosing someone, in my opinion, because that is going to dictate a lot of how you end up establishing your future generations. And that's just how I think. And I pray to God that he does help me when it comes to relationships, because I'm a person that I love, but when it comes to relationships, I'm not a big fan of it, really. I just like the infatuation, but I do not like real relationships in general. I love healthy relationships, but I'm not interested in being in one or in any relationship at the moment. This specific situation, this is probably one of the guys that has courted me well at the beginning.
At the beginning.
Oh, a lot of guys aren't that serious my age.
He did really good at the beginning. I'm gonna be very upfront about that. Just the way he went about it, the way he approached me, it was very respectful, and it was the way that my standards, it actually met up with what I was looking for. But it went downhill throughout the talking stages. I just think we both were looking for very different things, and that's fine. And it's so good to figure that out at the beginning, because you don't invest your time, or you're not wasting your time with someone and trying to fix things with someone you're not even dating and trying to make things work when y'all are both looking for something completely different. It's important to have standards, and to have standards when you're dating, or when you're, even if you're not dating, I still have my standards, because I don't want to waste time with the guy thinking, oh, maybe he is good for me. I compare my standards with what they're offering. The standards save you from time wasted. It saves you from dusty, rusty boys. It saves you from guys that are just trying to waste your time. It's so important to not allow your empathy, your love for seeing potential and wanting to help go to the guy that you feel bad for, and that's not good. Because would you want someone to date you because you feel bad for them? That's something that I have to keep reminding myself when it comes to standards. Don't drop your standards just because you feel bad. You need to have your standards. Eventually they'll meet someone that's good for them, and you will too. How to get over someone you didn't even date and you didn't pass a talking stage with. And honestly, it could even be the fact that you didn't even have a real conversation with this guy. You just became infatuated. Maybe you saw him in class, in school, and you're like, oh my gosh, he's so hot. And then you fall in love with his name, and you're like, oh my gosh, his last name can be mine. And yes, for some people who are watching this, they're probably like, what? But I know there's some girls out there who we're still into the Hallmark love stories. So these things, you can really like someone and you actually don't like them. You just like the idea. And that happens to a lot of us. Distance. And this is so hard at the beginning. I gotta stop talking to this guy. He's not good for me. I can't even sleep. Maybe you're great at it. Good for you. There's some people that you're just kind of like, damn, this is hard. You were talking to him every day. He would send you texts. You wouldn't even text him, and he would double text you. Or maybe you're the one who's double texting. Girl, if that's you, run. He's a red flag, okay? You're too pretty. You have too much self-worth. You have too much goals and a future and a purpose ahead of you for you to be chasing a man. One thing that's helped me a lot is just not even worrying about guys and just focusing on myself. And for some reason, that has attracted a lot more guys. But I am also more selective, and not because I think, oh, I'm better than you. No, it's just I know that I built myself so much, and I'm not going to just allow anyone to come into my space. I'm okay with being by myself, and I love myself way too much to waste my time. And I wish I was at this point when I started talking to this guy, because I actually was using him as a rebound, which was very wrong of me, and I admit that. And it turns out I didn't even like this guy, but I ended up falling more hard for him than the guy that I was trying to get over, that I talked to while I was in Miami. And that was a no, okay? So don't do rebounds. Learn from me, learn from my mistakes. So many other people have said the same thing, don't do rebounds. And just because you don't like him at the beginning does not mean that you might not end up catching feelings at the end, because sometimes you end up lying to yourself and convincing yourself that you like this person, and really you don't. It's your emotions, and you're just bored, because that's literally what happened to me. Okay. The reason why I say distance is because I did reach back out. That's a no. That was very bad of me. But I reached back out because it was late and I was tired and we came from going out. Missed the idea of him. He did text back. Now that I officially said, you know what, he proved to me. I gave him like 2 to 3 attempts of, let me see if, I'm not going to go into detail, but certain things happened within that friendship, relation, whatever that talking stage was. Certain things happened that made me realize, oh, you know what, he's not it. I finally said I'm giving myself the distance. The more I stayed away from him, delete all our messages and delete any pictures I had of him. He did send me some. It took me a while to get there, deleting the messages. I don't care, his phone number, whatever I had to do, but I didn't force myself to go full throttle, because I remember at the beginning I did do that. I forced myself, and then I would try to look for his stuff again. If I deleted it on my deleted recently, or look at his pictures, or try to find our conversation. Don't allow someone to be like, oh my gosh, delete everything, block him right now, because I had so many people who were telling me that. But I had to get to a point where it's like, okay, yes, I know I need to do this, and yes, I want to do this, but right now I know if I do it, I'm gonna want to come back. So being very self-aware with, give yourself the space and time. For me, I got tired of seeing his number and his name on my phone that I was like, ew, I'm just deleting this. I don't even want to see the messages. So you kind of get to a point where you get sick and tired of seeing his stuff, that you're just like, ew, I just don't want this on my phone. Ever since I did delete it, I would think about it. 3 months later, I do feel things that happened when we did talk and conversations we had. There was actually a lot of red flags that I ignored. I know that there's probably a girl who's gone through something similar, and if you're watching this, I do not want you to stay in that relationship or even consider going into a relationship with this guy, because that is a red flag. We were on FaceTime one day. We also didn't FaceTime a lot. I said something and he's like, oh, you're just trying to fish for a compliment. I'm not gonna give it to you. I'm not trying to boost your ego. That for me was a red flag. First of all, I don't have to be on the phone with you. I don't give my time so easily. That's just how I am. I'm very particular with what I give my time to, because I know that time is a precious asset, and what you use it to, it can either benefit you, rest, and if you want to watch TV or just do something fun or go out, like, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. I feel like that is also a part of productivity, giving yourself the space to have fun if that's what you want to do, and then you keep thinking about it. But what I'm saying is, if you're not even wanting a relationship and you're giving some guy a chance and you're spending time on the phone with him, bro, I really am not trying to waste my time. Because the way he approached me when he first started trying to talk to me, oh my gosh, you're so gorgeous, I would really like to get to know you, all this. And then it's so funny, because once you do give them the time, your attention, now you don't want to give me a compliment. The sweet thing to do, in my opinion, here's where my standards come through. Oh, you look so pretty today. Even if I look a hot mess, be nice. You don't have to lie. I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk to me, because that's just a mature thing to do. Time. Give yourself the distance that you need from this person. The more time passes, the more I'm very aware that God saved me from a very toxic relationship, from getting into something that I didn't even want in the first place. So don't force yourself to say yes or to try things out because you're told by other people in your life that this is something you should want at your age. If you do not want a relationship, you do not need to get into one. You want to focus on your goals, go do that. And yeah, maybe some people are like, oh my God, you're going to die old. Like, you need to give yourself. No, I'd rather die old and in peace than with some rusty, dusty guy who I just settled for because people were telling me that I needed to find someone. No, thank you. That's just my 2 cents. Think of all their bad qualities. And this is something that is so true. When I say think of all their bad qualities and you're still talking to this guy, girl, make the list. Writing things down really does have a very powerful, I'll probably research here. Have you heard when people say write down your goals? And when I write down my goals, I actually do end up getting things done subconsciously, even when I don't have my goals in front of me. several things that he did that these are red flags. We all have bad qualities. One day he said, oh yeah, I'll call you, and then he never called. If he ghosts you 2 to 3 days and your standards, I'm not going to deal with that, well then write that down as a bad quality, because that's not something you want. Why are you forcing yourself to say yes to something you don't want? Are you going to go to an expensive restaurant? If you're going to pay, why are you choosing to settle for the thing in the menu that you don't want? And it's so sad because I feel like we, or at least the way I grew up, I was raised to think that you have to settle into a relationship you don't want, because that's how relationships are. Relationships, it should be two people choosing each other based on the type of life they want to create together. And if that person has a vision that you don't, why are you forcing a fit? Do you not know yourself enough? And that's where you have to, do I really need a relationship, or do I need to figure out what I really want in life? Just so much that he did. One day he actually ghosted for 8 days. I'm not going to go into details on that. He did ghost twice. First time he ghosted for 2 to 3 days. And I told him, I was like, you're just going to stop texting for 2 to 3 days. He was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, whatever. And he ended up ghosting longer the next time after I told him that I do not like that. That was automatically where I should have just cut it off. It was really silly of me, but I don't really regret it. I don't, because the whole reason I responded after he ghosted the second time, we had planned, we didn't really plan it, going somewhere, so I let that pass. He just knew me because I was curious how he even got my Instagram. Any guy sliding in your DM, for me now, I'm not responding to you. No. Well, you know what? Maybe if he's from Europe, I'll let that slide. It was really interesting the way we met. So that was the only reason I let it slide, because we were going to meet up finally, since he was not in town and I was gonna leave 2 days later. So I was like, all right, like this is probably my only chance to actually meet. I told myself after we were gonna meet up, I was there. Sorry guys, I have like a big bumper here. But I was not gonna reject him when we went out. I was just gonna stop talking to him or ghost him or ignore him afterwards. So I would meet up, and then it didn't really play out the way I thought it would. I had a great time with him, but he was a walking red flag. 2 days after I left, he ended up posting a picture with another girl, and I was like, he was a no. Number 3 is refocus on your goals. I know that when I was trying to get over this person, I was looking at videos and people were like, you just need to focus on your goals again. And it was so hard, because the whole reason I started talking to this guy was because I was trying to stop thinking about my goals. I was tired of trying to get work done, trying to work and then follow my dreams and create vision boards and write a list of my goals and what I needed to do every day. It was a routine, very unproductive routine that I got stuck in. Just because you're busy does not mean you're productive. Sometimes you end up doing less with more time, especially if you're burning yourself out. Be self-aware with being burnt out. Like a lot of times we have this pressure, oh, you shouldn't go out, you shouldn't go have fun with your friends, you just need to stay and grind. If you want to go dance, if you want to go out, you just need to find what works for you, where you can still do well. I'm not going to tell you still do perfect, because there's no such thing. And I'm tired of that mental pressure of thinking like I always have to be at 100. That's a lie. It's okay to rest. That's the whole reason I started talking to this guy. I was putting so much pressure on myself to get things done and feel like I needed to be somewhere where I wasn't, because I graduated and I needed to have my crap together. Happiness, peace, and doing what I can with what I have and being wise with my money is the only thing that matters to me. And if that means that I might not invest as much money or save as much money, if I choose to go out like once a month or whatever works for me, no, like maybe I'll go out twice a month, or I decide to travel, I'm gonna do it. Because if you burn yourself out, you might end up doing stupid things that you didn't even want to do just because you were just sick and tired of being in the same routine. It was starting to talk to this guy because I just got to a point where I was like burning out. I was like, I need an outlet. And that was not a very healthy one. Like, you know what? I really do want to sleep. I want to watch a movie and watch a movie, and I don't care about anything else. This is what I wrote down. Be honest with yourself. I just wanted a distraction. It was hard for me to stay home because I love socializing, love experiencing new cultures. I love people in New York, being around people in, oh, you could do meetups where you're from and blah, 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 this. But it's not the same when you're experiencing new cultures and visiting new cities and exploring and meeting new people in your hostel or wherever you travel and you meet people. It's very fun. Staying in my hometown was hard for me, so it was hard for me to want to stay back. And I just love Miami. The people there are fun, so they're very beautiful. I just loved it. So don't force yourself to stay in your hometown if you don't want to. And if you have to, for the sake of saving money, because that's where I was, like, I spent a lot during my trips. If you're going to end up doing that, I highly recommend make a plan and tell yourself, this is temporary. This will pass. But what do I need to do to get myself out of here? That's what I've been doing recently. Something that's helped me. Okay, I'm here right now, but how do I get out of here? And then once you start taking daily action, for example, I'm gonna save this much, and then once I save this much, I'm moving out. Come up with how much you need to save, and then what you need to do if you need to get an extra job, side hustles, whatever you wanna do to get yourself to where you wanna go. Just because you're somewhere right now, I'm telling you, does not mean you are destined to stay there forever. If you just take the actions that you need to take to get yourself out of there, it will happen. Watch videos of people who've done it and find how much money you need to save to leave. It's not fun staying somewhere you don't want to live. It really isn't. There's too much world, there's too much culture, and you probably think you're crazy because people around you or hometown don't get it because it's like a small, closed-minded. But I fell asleep. Or it could be your family, like they're like, you're crazy, like why do you want to leave? And even if it doesn't work out, okay, at least I learned. So don't focus so heavy on the outcome, because for me, I didn't want to leave my hometown because I was scared that I would fail. But it's not about failing. And even if you do fail, it's like you still learn, and at least you tried, at least you got out. Crap about you, your family or your friends or whoever, because you're like, look, she left and now she came back, or oh, she thought she wanted to live here, now she's somewhere else. Well, you learned. Did you have the bravery to get out of your hometown? Probably not. So that's not my problem. Good for you that you enjoy it. Good for you if you like it. But for me, I want to try something new. So don't be afraid to get out. Number 4. All right, babes. It is 1:15 a.m. Listen to music that helps you stay positive or stop thinking about them. Something that helped me, but something that I realized is that dancing and listening to music that I could relate to really did help. But it's a very on and off thing. Sometimes I would listen to certain songs and it would make me sad and make me want to text that person or think about the entire situation or just think about just relationships in general or wanting one. I had to stop myself. But something really weird that's happened recently is that I was listening to Taylor Swift and I told myself, ew, I would never listen to that because it's too lovey-dovey and I'm not that type of person. But for some reason, I decided to listen to it. Some of the songs really hit deep and it really helped me get over the person a little more. But I'm not going to give you song suggestions in that aspect except for 2 or 3 maybe. Taylor Swift, Dear John was so good, even though the guy wasn't 30. Back to December, Cardigan. It either helped me get through it and help me realize someone else has gone through something similar, because you kind of feel like they're talking about the relationship and they understand where you're coming from. There's the people who composed it. They had to either go through it or it's like an analogy. But then also listening to music that made me look forward to better and healthier relationships or just something fun. Certain songs reminded me of this past summer, which thanks be to God, it was very fun and I met there are certain songs that will either bring you back to good memories or make you think of others. Make sure you're just listening to things that bring you joy and are positive lyrics. And sometimes it's just not listening to music at all. Being honest with yourself about your feelings. Make a bucket list and find ways to start making your bucket list happen and checking things off. I wanted to keep it super simple. You can either write it down or you can do it on your note. That's what I did. Writing things that I've always wanted to do. I don't know if it's like the thought of doing it, picturing yourself already doing it, that's like makes me excited. Things I wrote down, I want to go visit this place. It's important to like the crazy fun things, but also do things that you can do now. That way you can get your schedule filled with things to do. There was something that I heard when in the phase of consuming a lot of self-development. One thing that I heard a lot, when you're changing a habit, people go cold turkey a lot, and you don't have to do that. You do not. But replace it with something healthier to get your mind off of what's not good and change your habits to something more positive. That's something I heard someone else say. Get your schedule filled up, that way you don't think about them. I feel like it's also just as important to journal and allow yourself to be honest about how you feel about this person and what's going on, asking God to help you get over them. Next is go out, and this is optional. I didn't like going out for a certain period, and even to this day, crazy about weekend, but I do love going out. My favorite experiences are like having fun, get in a group, dance all together. Just meeting young people your age is just so fun. You cannot trust everyone. Be safe, be smart, and don't do anything that you're gonna regret later. That's all I have to say about that. Allow yourself to realize that getting over someone is not going to happen in a day. Oh my gosh, you're still not over this person? Just get over him. He was ugly. He wasn't even cute. You could do so much better. Yes, thank you, love. I know. I understand that you can see it right now, but I could not see it. So please be empathetic and give me the space and time to just be like, you know what, I understand you didn't even date this person, but oh my gosh, like you did get caught up. There's something better out there for you because there's a reason why it didn't work. Sometimes it's not their words that are going to help you all the time. It's really doing the work yourself. And for me, I really think it was just prayer, journaling, and taking action towards the future I want. I didn't do it all at once. There was a point that I didn't want to do anything that related to my goals because I was burnt out. Allow yourself to be. Stop trying to be somewhere where you're not. If you haven't gotten over someone, be open about it with yourself. Slowly stop talking about this guy. If you used to call up a certain person to talk to them about the situation, if they'll bring it up. For me, it was my grandma. I'd ask her for advice on certain things she was really good with. But at the same time, I just didn't want to talk about it anymore, because when you talk about it, it's like you're bringing them up and then you're thinking about them again, and that's not fun. Trying to talk about them less. Allowing yourself to realize getting over them is not going to happen in a day, but it does take small steps and implementing new habits that will help you slowly but consistently get over them. For me, those habits, it started little by little. I didn't allow him to see my stories because I didn't want to keep seeing that he was looking at my Instagram, but I know not every person is the same. You just have to find what works for you. Started erasing him from the things that I would do. I deleted his number, contact, and it felt so good. It took a while to get there, but it feels so good. Deleting their text messages because I loved going back and, analyzing everything. But at the same time, that wasn't that healthy because then it made me feel bad about certain conversations, which I'm not going to act like I wasn't a part of the problem because of why it didn't work out. But at the same time, it worked out the way it needed to. It didn't happen, and that's perfectly okay because now I feel better. I really do enjoy being by myself. So I feel like I was just gonna force myself to be in a relationship that I didn't even want in the first place because I wanted to keep the person around, that's not fun for either of us. Small things that will consistently help you get over him, whatever that is, going out with your friends, focusing on your goals, working out. For me, working out definitely has helped. So having something to look forward to each day that has nothing to do with them. Yeah, maybe your phone is dry because you're choosing not to use someone else to get over him. Even though I did do that for a little bit, but honestly, I did not want to catch feelings anymore. All the guys that I did talk to at the beginning, I really just didn't want to keep talking to them, and honestly that was disrespectful. It would be disrespectful for me to do that because I wouldn't want someone to use me like that. So I decided it would be best to just let them go. But to this day, I'll text 2 friends. You still got to keep those boundaries. Can't trust them easily. Some tips, there's an article of the scientific evidence on how to get over someone. I feel like when you're trying to get over someone, there's a lot of ups and downs. There were days that I don't need them, I'm fine. And if only it worked, we would have been doing this, we would have been driving to such and such place, we would have been having so many fun adventures, because supposedly he was adventurous. I don't think he was as fun as I was. I feel like he was kind of risky in the sense of adventure. That's what I did like about him. But everything happened. I really don't want to say that. I do believe sometimes you'll realize later on why certain things didn't work out. If it's not the right time, there will always be another time. It was a quote from Drake. There's always another person that's gonna come along. Stop getting so strung along with one guy. You're too pretty. You have so much going on for yourself for you to allow yourself to think that you're not worth someone better coming along and then you settle. Don't believe that. I don't know if it's your family who made you think that you weren't pretty enough, or you have to be like this in order for a guy to like you. You want to make sure that you know what you're bringing to the table. Character and personality never go out of style. You can get wrinkles. We're all gonna get old at one point. Who you are, your essence, does not go away, and you can always improve it. It'll go to show the way you act. Do not live in scarcity mindset for a guy. Do not live in scarcity mindset for anything whatsoever. There will always be another opportunity. Stop trying to force things with someone to work out. It's not it, okay? Especially if it makes you feel like crap, feeling like you're having to beg for someone's attention. Don't do that to yourself. This is another quote. When someone's pursuing a relationship with you, they are not making you do all the work. You will not be in confusion. Those things were powerful to me because he was pursuing me very well at the beginning, but once I actually started falling for him, I could tell he was falling out of it. You know what? This guy is not worth it. I don't care whatever the reason is behind his actions. I'm not dealing with it. My standards are here, and if he's doing this, I'm not dealing with it. I don't care how much I like you at the time. It's just not worth the stress. Last but not least, this quote. This is actually from the Bible. This really helped me. For the Lord God is a sun and shield. No good thing will he withhold from those who walk uprightly. Okay, and you might think to yourself, I'm not in good standing with God, or maybe whatever the case may be. Best believe that God has someone good for you if that's what you want. There was a certain time where I thought, I'm never gonna have someone. I remember I was praying oh God, if you do bring someone, because if you think like that, oh, I will never have someone, sometimes what ends up happening is you'll settle for bare minimum guys. I want to respect all the genders. You'll settle for bare minimum because you think, oh, well, I'm never going to be in a relationship, or I'm never going to have someone, I'm never going to get married, so this is good. Even though it's not what you really want, you feel like they're not treating you the way you would love to be treated. If this type of guy hasn't came around, it's because it's not the one yet. It's not the type of guy that I'm looking for. Life is so interesting. The things that you want will always end up finding you. Just stay focused on you, loving yourself, your goals, and trusting and praying that God will bring those things because they will happen. That Bible verse really helped me realize there's a reason why God didn't allow it to happen, because we were not meant. It was just not gonna work. Everything happens with purpose, and even if you can't see it now, I'm telling you, filming this again later from the first time I was trying to film this and I was really hurt, I was getting over the person. There were certain things I would do that would help me get over them, but the emotion, the feeling was still there, that it was hard to take my emotions out of it. But now looking back, I can see that I'm able to be less sad about it. Certain things that person did that I knew that they were not good for me, just red flag. If you like someone, you're not gonna ghost them for 2 or 3 days. At least tell me, hey, I'm going through something, I can't talk. And then he ghosted for 8 days, so I was yeah, he's obviously talking to someone else. And things that he did, that they were just so not with what I wanted. And so I'm very grateful that I didn't get any. Don't allow your idea of you thinking that they were going to be this perfect person that you put in your head to make you think that you missed out, and that's why you're heartbroken. If you really look at this in a realistic perspective, you probably didn't like him. You were just in love with the idea of who you wanted him to be, or who he pretended to be at the beginning to try to get you. Don't allow the infatuation, whatever it is, don't allow that to make you think that you missed out, because you will not miss out on what God has for you. I encourage you to pray and ask God to take away any guy or any person that is not good for you. There's sometimes you feel something in you where you're not good for me, but you still try because on the surface, it looks fine. It looks perfect. It looks like they're doing the right thing. But then you realize why you had that feeling. I'm just gonna be straight up. There were certain things that happened for me where I liked them, but there's just something about them that I just can't put my mind around. I remember my friend, she actually ended up going on a date with a guy. When she went on the date with him, she told me certain things that happened where she was uncomfortable. Oof, maybe that's why I just had that feeling. Everything looked great on the outside, but just something in it, I just wasn't feeling it. And then another example, a certain friend I was hanging out with was getting not a good vibe from them. I really want to love them. I really want to care for them. Something in me that's stopping me. I love them, but I can't trust them. Find out a year later, this person did something that was disrespectful towards me, that was disrespectful towards my friend. If you disrespect someone that I love or that I even had a friendship or a relationship with, that's an automatic no. That person didn't tell me until a year afterwards. So imagine how I felt. That's why I felt the way I felt. In this case, like, trust your gut. I'll tell you something that happened while I was talking to this person where I was feeling so uneasy. At the beginning, everything felt something in me. I couldn't go to sleep and I would have panic attacks, really bad anxiety. And I was like, what the heck? Like this, and my work performance was not the best. If this came from God, I would not be feeling the way I'm feeling. I have a friend who I love, and every time we talk here and there, talk stories, looking at our friendship, there's certain things that my friend showed me that helped me. She taught me how to build my credit score, something my parents didn't teach me, and her mom and her taught me. And it was just so much love, and you just feel appreciated. And like, even when we're not close to each other, we're not texting each other, I still feel this. Even if our friendship was to end, which I hope it will not, there's so much things that I learned from her that made me a better person, grow as an individual. Trust your gut. You're having panic attacks or anxiety, or you can't sleep, or you're questioning the relationship or the friendship. Anytime you have to question it, I just feel like that's where you know it's just not it. I got my biggest breakthrough when I started journaling how I felt. I was scrolling through TikTok and then I saw, I'm just gonna go date around now because another failed talking stage. Why would I put myself in the situation of going through heartbreak and or trying to use someone to get over someone? I just did that, and that's how I ended up in that situation. It's fun to go out. There's certain things you have to address if you want to heal. I don't want to tell you what to believe in. This was something that was hard for me because I do believe in God. I'm not going to debate with anyone. You can choose whatever you want. But I will say that my life has definitely been, I just trust God, okay? Prayer really does work. And I know that there are some people who don't believe in that, but I highly encourage you to at least try it. It doesn't mean that you have to belong to a specific religious group. It just means that you believe that there's something greater than you that can help you improve. Being grateful. There's just so many things in this world that don't make sense. When I put things in prayer, I start figuring out and finding out why certain things didn't work the way I wanted to. I really encourage you to really consider prayer because you never know what can happen. I asked God to help me get over this person, and I cried, which is not what I wanted. I don't even like this guy, this weird thing that's keeping me here. It's crazy because, like, God, I don't even know if this person is from you, but it seems like they're doing all the right things, and all the right things is my standards. But there's just something that I just can't pinpoint that I don't like. And I would get really bad anxiety and I couldn't sleep, felt uncomfortable. It was just not good. I remember, God, if this is not from you, just let me know. Decided to go to church that week, prayed over me, and they said, we break that soul tie off of you. And then that's exactly what she said. And she didn't even know I prayed that past week. I do believe in the power of prayer. Some people have gone through tough things and then they blame God, which, you know, I'm not gonna get into arguments about that. I really do think that there is power in that, so you could just consider it. listen to good relationship advice. And by good relationship advice, I mean, there were certain situations that happened within talking to that guy where I went to certain people for advice. Learned anything is never go to someone who is not in a relationship that you want. Sometimes your friends can be the ones that give you the worst advice, because if they're young like you, they still have certain beliefs about love that haven't fully developed. To be very careful with allowing your belief that someone was put in your life to let them treat you however they want, because that's manipulation. Don't think that God wants you to be in an unhealthy relationship where you're getting disrespected. So that's where I say the importance of realism and standards in your friendships or relationships, because there were certain friendships that I allowed to do certain things. I just told myself, like, hey, I know that you think that they were brought into your life for a reason, but if they start disrespecting you, you need to put your boundaries. And people respect that, and the people that don't is because they really just wanted to walk all over you. And you have to know, I deserve more, and I deserve to be loved the way I want to. And if this person is not treating me the way I want to, there are way too many people in this earth for me to settle. And yeah, it might be that I'm gonna be alone for a little bit, and that's fine, because you have to learn how to be by yourself and work on yourself and just keep loving yourself for you, not for an outcome or an end result, but because you know that you're not going to settle for something mediocre and be unhappy in that. Listen to good relationship advice. Two people that I really like personally for me, Tony Gaskins and Brittany Lee. Brittany Lee, she went through something really intense with her ex, but I really admired she wasn't afraid to break off her engagement. It's women in general who do that because you were disrespected or something happened that just did not coincide with the lifestyle you want. It's so easy to want the relationship and want that picture perfect thing that people say we should have, that you go through with something that you know you don't want just because you're told that that's what you're supposed to want. It's important to know the difference between non-negotiables and preferences. And I think preferences is, oh my gosh, I want him to be this skin color, I want him to be this tall, I want him to be, if you want him tall, make sure that he treats you right. Make sure that he's not going to disrespect you when he's upset, that he's not going to try to cuss at you. I always pay attention to that. If he's rude, disrespectful, no for me. Make a list of all the qualities you want in your ideal husband. What would he look like? How would he dress?
How would he treat you? That's so important.
Would he be giving? Is he generous? Not just to you, but to your family and those around you. Something that I've noticed is that guys who are caring towards people in general, I just like them more. But even if we were to break up, I pay attention to the way they treat the people that they're no longer talking to. Do they talk about them with respect? Because yeah, he may like you right now, but how is he going to act when he doesn't like you? I always look at how they treat people that they no longer have a good connection towards. Like, are they bitter? Are they resentful? Those are things I pay attention to. In regards to making a list of all the qualities you want in your ideal husband, this really helped me because it made me realize that I was kind of going for a guy that I didn't find that was my type. I'm so sorry about this background, guys. What's next on this list? When I was making a list of all the qualities I want in my ideal husband, I made it on a note in my phone. I looked on Pinterest for cute pictures and aesthetics of guys that I thought were good looking or I liked their vibe. This sounds so weird. I'll try to show you. This is Gavin Casalegno. Too open and flirty for me. Important that I did when I made a list of the qualities I wanted in my ideal husband. I put, does he like working out? What kind of workout? I know it sounds silly, like why does it matter what workouts? But for me personally, I would want someone that can teach me new workouts, pushes me in the gym. That's fun. Being able to run at the same pace, ideal guy that you want. It's not fun if you want to work out and then this guy only just wants to stay home and not do anything. What I did when I finished this list, I asked myself, am I being this ideal partner for myself? I want a preppy guy. Am I dressing preppy the way I want to dress, the way that I like? I want a guy who's respectful. Am I respectful? And vice versa, just things like that. I just try to do my best to be self-aware, making sure that I'm giving myself what I'm looking for in a guy. That way I don't have an excuse of like, oh, but it's okay, I'm gonna let this slip because I don't have that quality. Oh gosh, I think I'm just tired and I'm not explaining this well. But what I'm trying to say is I want someone that I know that I can have because I've done the work myself. So if I want a guy that's preppy, I enjoy dressing preppy, maybe you're attracted to the opposite and that's fine too. For example, with the workouts, oh, I want someone to push me to work out. Okay, that's great. But make sure that you're pushing yourself. I try to make sure like, okay, I may not have a guy right now in my life or a boyfriend, but am I pushing myself to do the hard workouts that I want? Yes, I am, and that makes me proud because knowing that I can give this to myself without needing someone, it makes me more selective with who am I allowing to enter my life. I'm already providing these things for myself. Went through this abundance mindset. Look forward to the future. Remind yourself that better is out there. Even if you don't think that right now, just make yourself believe that. Because if you lie to yourself about the character of this guy and liking this guy, even though it was probably most likely infatuation, I lied, better is out there, and then you'll start seeing it, I promise. Something that I kind of had to do, I didn't have to do this, but the opportunity was there and I wanted to go out. My cousins and I, we were in North Carolina and I decided to go out with them, and honestly there were so many good looking guys. And I know that there's gonna be some people that are like, oh my god, but it's not about looks. Yeah, it's not, but you know what, if I'm physically attracted to someone, then that's it, okay? I don't care. But it made me realize hotter guys and guys that treated me very much with more respect and well. And even though I didn't know this guy enough to be like, oh my god, he totally disrespected me, what I'm trying to say, there were certain guys that did more even though they didn't know me that well. And yeah, you could say they probably wanted something, which could have been the case, but I had a great time. Being able, not even going on dates with these guys, it didn't get anywhere because I didn't allow it to, because I just don't want anyone in the moment. I'm just not ready for a relationship, if I'm being honest, but I love having friends and having fun, and you know, guy friends are the best in my opinion, but you do have to like navigate that very carefully because sometimes you can catch feelings or they can, so it's to be careful with that stuff. Seeing how different guys interact, and that's why I think it's so important to not just have the first guy that pays attention to you and you're like, okay, this is the one. No, I used to think like that. Do not think like that, because it will limit your market and it will limit your ability to choose someone that's good for you. That's why it's so important to allow yourself to talk to different guys, more than one at a time. It allows you to see the bare minimum on certain guys and what other guys are willing to do. Talking to several guys definitely is good, and this does not mean you have to do anything with them. You do not have to do anything with them, and if they ask you to do something with them and you do not want to, you need to put your foot down and say no, because you don't have to do anything. I just want to remind some girls that, because sometimes I know that there's pressure to feel like you need to do something with them, but you don't. And any guy that tries to make you feel that way, just automatic red flag, just get away from them, because they're just not worth your time. You will meet so many more people, and when I travel, I realize there's so much out there, so many good looking guys out there that will treat you well. And by good looking, I mean something that's suitable for what you want, like what you think is attractive. Join groups. I'll see guys and I'm like, oh, there's a lot of hot guys out here in my head, and you know, they'll try to talk to me. Why would I settle for bare minimum? Find a group to join. You know, if you want to try pickleball, volleyball. Recently, I decided to go to ice skating lessons, and my cousin and I were going to go together, but she ended up ditching, so I ended up going by myself, and I loved it. Like, they were all mostly adults, like older people, but there was like one guy that was my age, and I was like, see, like there are guys out there that are into the same things that you are. But if you are not doing the things that you love, how are you going to find someone? And that's why I felt like I was settling, because I'm like, oh, well, you know, at least he goes to the gym, or at least he does this. But why does it have to be at least? Why does it always have to be bare minimum? Why can't you choose to find someone that's into the same things as you are? And yeah, maybe it'll still be temporary, but at least it was temporary with things that you still enjoy doing. Like, I might as well hang out with someone who's gonna do fun things that I like. If you do want to meet people, not just guys, you want to make more friends, because sometimes it's not that you want a relationship. You can figure that out by yourself. Sometimes it's that you want community. You want someone to talk to. Don't join. If there's anything I can tell you, is do not join a group for the intent of finding someone, but do it because you enjoy something and you want to try something out. Make a bucket list and find ways to start making it happen and checking things off your list. This is so fun. I was too much into my goals that I wasn't allowing myself to enjoy life. That's why I was looking for that small escape with that guy. But I highly recommend making a bucket list and finding ways to make it happen. That's all I have for you today. I hope this video helps, speaking from my experience. That's all I have to say. I am exhausted. Also, this is super random, but just because they're Christian does not mean they're the one, okay? If there's anything I've learned is they can be Christian, they can love God, and that still doesn't mean that their personality meshes with yours. Don't lie to yourself and force yourself to like someone just because they're godly or because they say that they're Christian. Look at the way they act, because there's a lot of guys and girls, you can say that you believe in certain things. How you act is a whole nother thing. And I think there's different levels to it, because you can say, oh, how they act, well, you go to clubs, you go to party. Well, it's just the type of lifestyle you want and the level of, I don't know what to say. Okay, I'm going to sleep because I'm exhausted.